Kakanhun Menteri Jong Sarkar Meghalaya kala menjur ya kakai pot ni kajing ai jingmut jong kilai tli ki regional committee ban penbeit no ya uput usam bat ke jylla Assam. Bat ya kani kakai pot ke Sarkar Meghalaya bat ke Sarkar Assam kin pak no Shaka Ministry of Home Affairs jong ke Sarkar India. Menteri rangba ke jylla ukon rat konggol sangma ulaya thu bagi menteri rangba jong ke Meghalaya bat Assam kin lej bani kenduk ru Lashai ke sngi ya menteri kampok yeng kari Amit Shah. Bat hadian kajing akran banyak hadalhi ke MHA bak ke Sarkar India kin ya garai ke khappud. Habakali konrad ula kentaj banyak thu ya ke kaipot jong ki regional committee Henry ula ong ba on salak ban pentip hadian beladap banyak akran bat ke MHA. Susu menteri rangba ke Meghalaya ula kentaj bak kajing penbeit yo put usam kalong dak baya keliang ki jaka. Henry ula yathu bak kajing penbeit yo put usam kalong dak basngap ya kajing sngau jong ki pajba bat kitu ki baya dan benda. Klem dapen bor ya kinong chong snong khappud. Ukon rat ulo ongru babaro artli ki sarkar kila menjur ya ka kaipot jong ki regional committee bat ka kaipot ban lejra sha ka MHA kaya seriam na baro ar jylla. Habakali shu menteri rangba ulo ong bak sarkar India kan hak panya kat kum ki kendon an ki pakadon. Kham tam ha bai dei bak jing pruit dak ya uput usam damar ka dei kam ka bahap ban ra hapo parlimen. Bat hap banwan ra ru ya kabil bat kala bandon kajing jurep ru na katanat Survey of India. Katkum kajing yathu ukon rat ki don lai pun riu teli ki snong ki bahap apo kin riu teli ki jaka balabu ban penbeit ningkong yau put usam. Bat kajing he jong ka jaka kalong lai pun riu pon nyup khandai square kilometer.
Friends, we had a very important cabinet meeting today, and in the cabinet meeting there were 5 agendas, but out of that we have only cleared 4 as of now, but very important agendas, as you are already aware. The first agenda was the recommendation of the 3 regional committees on the interstate boundary between Meghalaya and Assam. The cabinet today has approved the proposal or the recommendations that have been given by the committee, and these recommendations will now be forwarded along with the recommendations from the Assam government to MHA for further action. Second, we had today passed the adoption of the NH Act for land acquisition for construction of national highway. So there's a land acquisition act, and now the NH Act will be applicable, which will be applicable only for national highway projects only. So for other acquisitions, the normal land acquisition act will be applicable, and this is being done throughout the country by most state governments, and the central government also has urged government of Meghalaya to approve this. With the approval of the land acquisition to be done under the NH Act, we will be reducing the time for land acquisition from 3 years to down to 1/3, so maybe max of 1 year. So it's a huge advantage, and it obviously will ensure that the projects are completed much faster. We will not share the committee report because, as I said, we have finalized, but we will be presenting this to MHA, and Assam also will be presenting it to MHA. And after we have the detailed discussion there, the government of India and the MHA will have to come to a final conclusion. But more or less, the structure has been reached after a long drawn exercise between the 2 states. Without going into the maximum details of this, because we'll make it available to you after our meeting with the Honorable Home Minister, which will be tomorrow evening, post 6 o'clock, we'll be meeting the Honorable Home Minister. The important aspect is that we as state governments have felt very strongly that yes, apart from historical facts that are there, it is very important to keep the people's sentiments in mind. And therefore, the willingness of the people in specific areas has been one of the main driving forces or the principles on the basis of which we have reached to most of the conclusions in most of the areas. We have also seen ethnicity as something very important. Both the state governments have felt strongly that any state government may try to claim some areas, but the people living in those areas, if they don't wish to be with a particular state, one cannot force people to forcefully come into a particular state. So this has been the basic driving principle for us, and that's why we have gone down to the grassroots level, and the committees have meticulously gone and visited every single 36 villages which were under dispute or differences in the 6 areas that were there. And after detailed visits to these 36 villages, we have finally come to an understanding where we have tried to follow these principles that I have just mentioned to you. So you have heard the ministers and the Honorable Chief Minister yesterday. They have given you some aspect of the report, but I would refrain from going into details fully right now, and I will be giving the report to you and details to you once we finally come to a conclusion. I mean, we have come to a conclusion, but we would like to share it with MHA. But what is most important to remember and to note today is that it's really a very, very important day, and this very important issue which has been there for the last 50 years and was very difficult to move forward from all angles, that today, due to the efforts made by the different committees and the 2 state governments, we are actually finding and seeing a solution that's coming out, where we have consulted multiple stakeholders, we have had multiple meetings and multiple visits, and as I said, this is truly a very, very important and a historic moment where we are able to actually move forward and resolve some of the areas of differences that are there. So I'm sorry I'm not able to share the full details with you, but as I said, Assam has given some idea yesterday. It is more or less in that line, but we will be able to give you more details once I return from Delhi tomorrow late night. So roughly, as I said, there were 36 villages that were there in the entire disputed area, and the square kilometers was 36.79 square kilometers of areas that were the differences. So the different committees are already, in fact, having a meeting, will be having a meeting with their respective committees to share this report. And as I said, we have already taken the inputs of all the political parties into this entire aspect, and we'll be happy to share this information with them, but we'll see the time is required or not. So I mean the time that is available for us to have this. But as I said, the committees are having the meetings, and if you have noticed, the regional committees have got representation from most of the political parties in the committees also, so including CENs, including different stakeholders. So the regional committees are going to meet post 3 o'clock. I think some have started meeting already, and they will share this report of the 3 regional committees and the cabinet's report that has been approved today. Yeah, so basically, as I said, we can have administrative units and administrative control over certain areas, but the actual demarcation of the boundary line will have to be done by Parliament. See, let's not try to link this activity, the exercise that we have done, and that kind of setting a deadline for the whole process. It's a process that continues, and obviously there's a lot more work left even after this. But what is important is that the 2 states have come to a conclusion before the 50th year. We have submitted the reports. The procedure and process will take time. We will be coming out, as I said, with more details once we have shared it with MHA and the Home Minister, and once we more or less come to a kind of a common agreement in the presence of the Home Minister. That will be the appropriate time for us to declare and share the details of this. But obviously the entire paperwork process will take time. But I think what is important to note is that yes, before the 21st, we have actually managed to come to some kind of an agreement on the 6 locations of differences. So the next step, as I said, will be that we will proceed to Delhi tomorrow, both Assam, Honorable Chief Minister of Assam and myself, and we will submit this report to the Honorable Home Minister. And after that, since both the states have more or less agreed I should say 100% agreed on both the reports. So we are going to be submitting more or less a common report. And then I think further the government of India will have to move, according to the laws for the bill to be put up. But while that happens, administratively, the two states will further discuss about the nitty-gritties in each location, because as you're aware that we can work out the villages that are there, so we can agree on villages, but demarcating a border, these are aspects which are within the provisions of the parliament and the powers of the parliament. So therefore, those aspects will have to be done at the parliament level. Survey of India will have to come in, joint inspections maybe have to be done, and the bill has to be there. So all those aspects are there. But as I said, we've managed to at least move a step forward where we have said that these villages are there. And in some areas, we have actually been able to look at some natural boundaries that are there, like rivers and forest covers to kind of demarcate some of the boundaries. In fact, in most cases, we have been able to do that. Now, that will be, again, as I said, placed at the Home Minister's level. It has been arrived, as I said, by ensuring that the interests of the people living in those areas have been taken into consideration. The interest of the stakeholders has been taken into consideration. And both the states have worked together to come to an understanding where we keep these factors in mind and resolve it. About who gains more or who gains less, I think it's always important to not stick to our positions. I've been very, very clear in all my discussions that when we stick to our position of ours, then we can never find a way forward. So the position is not about, as I said, the position is what? Position is that, that we will not leave any inch. We will get more, we will get less. That's not the way to look at how we resolve a problem. We need to resolve a problem by looking at whether our interest is being served or not. What is it that matters to us? What is it that concerns us? And that's why, as I said, when we started looking at the interests of the state and the people, then our entire outlook to the problem changes. And that's why we felt that we need to see what the people want. And that's why, as I said, the driving force has been the will of the people and the ethnicity. And therefore, we must look at those aspects. And therefore, keeping that in mind, it just so happens that there are a lot of areas in the border area which have a large Garo population, some Khasi population. In some areas, we have a large Rabha population, some Nepali population, some Assamese population, and other tribes also are there. So based on that, what has suited the local people there more, trying to again look at the other factors of contiguity or other factors of governance, all those aspects into mind, and historical data also, we try to come to the most amicable solution that is there. So I would refrain from saying that who got more or who got less, as I said, but the interest of the states has been kept in mind, the interest of the stakeholders have been kept in mind, and the best possible solution that we could come to has been arrived after, I don't know how many meetings, I forgot the count also, but multiple meetings have taken place.